What's going on, guys? I hope you've been feeling the spirit lately. Anyway, I wanted to try this new video format of just coming on here because I eat, sleep, and breathe and dream and think about my bows and stuff all day long. I got this target yesterday evening, and I've probably put about 600 to 700 shots on it. So I get a lot of revelation in it and thinking. I can't even sleep at night sometimes because I wonder why I messed up certain shots and my shot process and thinking about it. But one thing I wanted to come on here and talk about is stop overcomplicating the whole thing. You've got people who shoot competition and targets and stuff, and these people are shooting 3-under, fixed crawl, string walking, and that's fine if you're just going to shoot paper targets. But when it comes to shooting 3D and hunting scenarios, it doesn't work. And the worst part about it is if you're not used to that, you're gonna develop target panic really bad, just like I did. And when I first started shooting, which was about like 6 or 7 years ago, actively shooting all the time, I would shoot what I had a difference between a fixed crawl and a string walk, to where I had a place up under the string that I would knock, and I would put the middle finger in the corner of my mouth for 10 yards, 15, and then I'd move the string up, and then middle finger would be 20, 25, something like that, and then right here would be 30. And I shot tournaments and stuff like that, and I did decently well, but I couldn't shoot a group to save my life because of target panic. And I've had a bad rep with target panic even in rifle shooting. There was a few years there where I missed I don't know how many deer. I had to shoot at them twice or whatever because of sheer target panic and jerking a trigger. That was a rough time for my hunting career. But anyway, as I got a little more into it, I was like, well, I want to shoot instinctive, or split vision is what I started shooting. It came to the point to where I couldn't hold the bow back. I would always snap shoot, and I wouldn't even touch my anchor. It was an actual sloppy snapshot, not like a snapshot like Howard Hill or John Schultz or somebody like that who could actually snap shoot consistently. It was more of just like, I grabbed the bow and I held it like this, and then as I come back I just let go. And I actually got decent at it. I just kind of practiced enough to where I could hit kind of what I was aiming at or what I was wanting to hit. But then it came to the point where I couldn't be consistent with it anymore. It just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And I actually shot at like a little 6-pointer, 8-pointer one time and completely missed him. It was kind of dark, and I don't even know what I did. I think I hit underneath him. And then I shot a small spike or 4-pointer, 3-pointer, whatever it was, and he ducked me real hard, and I never did find him. And then I got to the point to where I practiced enough to where I could hold the bow back. So I started holding the bow back to like right in here somewhere, and kind of like a front of the cheekbone, but a little bit below it. And I started shooting that for a little while and got pretty decent at it. Like I could hit pretty decently what I was looking at, and it was mostly split vision shooting. And I shot a doe. I had a problem with some untuned arrows, and I messed up some tuning on some arrows, made them way too stiff, tried to add weights to them, still didn't make it weak enough. And season come up, and I just picked up the bow and went, and that evening of opening evening, I shot a doe, and my arrows were flying so weird that the arrow would go kick to the right because it was stiff, and then overcorrect and hit to the left. And I shot a doe back, and then that Monday morning I went back with my dad and shot a bear, and he was facing the other way, and I hit him through the bottom of the neck and never found him either. moved forward a little bit, and I fixed the arrows, and I never did get another shot at anything. The next year, I got a new bow, got a custom longbow, a little 52-inch Kenyu of Sock Trail Archery. I love that bow, but I just can't shoot it as good as the other bows that I shoot. I got it and started shooting, and I would just, same place, anchor right here, let go. And I had started developing a little bit of target panic there. I ended up missing, I think I ended up missing a couple deer that year, but I killed the 8-pointer. I hit back, still just hit to the left. I mean, I wasn't that far off to the left because the deer was quartered away, but still, I had to really focus in when I let that arrow go, and I was focusing on my form more than I was even focusing where I was shooting. But anyway, then last year, so we get to last year, and I really started developing a repeatable, consistent form that was good for me. However, it came with some target panic too. It was, I'm sure you've probably seen more of the videos because I actually made videos and stuff on it. But what I would do is I would stick 3 fingers under, come in, form a C, and I would pull back and hook that C in my jawbone. So basically the arrow would be about right here. I shot that way for the whole last year and into this year, but I kept getting target panic. I come back after turkey season and started shooting again, and I couldn't hit where I was looking. I was having a lot of trouble. I got to thinking about, as humans, we tend to just overcomplicate everything for no reason. And I got to watching Robert Carter, Jeff Phillips, John Schultz, Howard Hill, people like that, Fred Bear, people like that. And you see these people and they don't overcomplicate it at all. They do everything that the other people tell you is wrong, and yet they're more consistent. And you're like, well, gap shooting's the most consistent, and it probably is. But in a hunting scenario and in a 3D scenario, I know people that can shoot instinctive and shoot twice as good as them. There's some gap shooters who are like everyday target archers that can shoot better, but that's a whole different thing because you make them have to twist their form around and they completely miss the target. So it got me thinking, why don't I just stop overcomplicating it and do what feels natural to me? So I started coming out here and I just started experimenting because it's June. I got plenty of time to experiment with everything and get everything down before September, October rolls around. And I got to thinking, and I'm like, maybe I should just stop overcomplicating everything and just start shooting. So I just started shooting regularly, and I tried the swing draw Howard Hill style, and I don't really like it too much, the whole come up, back, let go. I don't like it too much. Sometimes when I snap shoot, I just forget about being on target. So I like to hold for just a second, not very long, but just for a second. It's all right to experiment with your form. I've been experimenting with my form for the last few days. I've been trying different things, different ways to grip the bow. I've been trying to decide whether I want to do split or 3 under, how far I want to push out and stuff. You go and watch some of these people and they're really good shooters and they know what they're doing, but they have to have a clicker. They have to have some kind of psychological trigger. They've got to have all this other stuff because they develop target panic. All of them develop target panic. And then you look at the old school instinctive shooters who just did what felt natural. None of them even, you ask them what target panic was, and most of the time they're like, what's target panic? Is that some kind of like disease or something? They don't even know what it is because they've never had it before. All they knew was point the bow at where they wanted to shoot and let go. And they were extremely consistent shooters. And even in a hunting scenario, they could do, I mean, there's people that you hear about who lay on their back and shoot the bow this way, like this, and hit what they're looking at and shoot deer and game and stuff like that with it. Me, I prefer the pure instinctive style of shooting. That's what I do the best with. That's kind of why I want to switch to split finger, but this is a whole nother video I'll make in a few days. But I just want to come on here and say, stop Overcomplicating Archery. There's too many horror stories of target panic, then you got to go get a clicker, then you're not hitting your back tension. And I did the same thing, and I've struggled for the last 6-7 years because I thought that I had to have perfect back tension and I had to follow through with my release and come back and touch my shoulder, and I had to make sure that my eye was straight over. And one thing that they always tell you is you can't shoot right-handed, left eye dominant. I've shot that way my whole entire life. I've shot rifles right-handed, I've shot bows right-handed, I shot slingshots right-handed, I've shot everything right-handed, but I am left eye dominant. And I shoot both eyes open, especially with this and with slingshots. The only thing I don't shoot both eyes open is rifles. So when I'm looking through a scope or looking through iron sights, the only thing I don't shoot both eyes open is on a rifle or a shotgun. But most of the time, whenever I'm rabbit hunting and shooting a rabbit that's running, or shooting a bird or shooting a clay pigeon, whatever, I keep both eyes open, and most of the time I'm looking out of my left eye, and I just bring the gun up and shoot. And I do better at that than I do trying to find a bead and shoot. And I got to thinking, and I'm like, that fluid motion of shooting rabbits running or clay pigeons or doves or whatever flying, I'm like, no wonder I'm better at that than I can shoot a bow, because I'm getting target panic because it's not fluid. I'm coming out of the fluid motion so that I can make sure that I'm on back tension and my elbows in line with everything and my head's just enough over and my cant's just perfect enough to where my eye's just over it. And I got the psychological trigger of the clicker, or, you know, whatever, the feather to my nose or whatever. And it's just like, all of that stuff makes me inconsistent, because you're not even thinking about the shot anymore. You're more worried about your form than the shot. And once you develop a form, it should just come natural to you. But now that you're so worried that it's not perfect, you start to suck because of target panic. Because you can't shoot a shot without thinking about back tension. You can't shoot a shot without thinking, did the feather touch my nose? You can't shoot a shot with thinking, oh, it's not going to be a clean release unless I follow through and come back and touch my shoulder. But all this stuff makes you a worse shot. And unless you really, really, really want to shoot gap, but still, even if you do shoot gap, stop worrying about all that stuff and see how consistent you start to shoot. You don't need the psychological triggers anymore. You won't need any of that stuff. You'll just be able to pull back the bow and let go. I find that overcomplicating, and I still have problems now because I have to get rid of these 7 years of bad habits that I created because I thought I had to have perfect back tension. I thought I had to have perfect psychological trigger. I thought I had to have perfect bow hand position and head tilt and cant so that my eye's straight over there. That doesn't even matter. I'm left eye dominant. But I thought that because that's what I've seen on YouTube and all these other people that teach. You just need to do what feels natural. Because a non-natural movement, it's just like shooting a basketball. If you shoot a basketball, if you feel like you have to shoot the basketball at a perfect 90-degree angle like this every single time, right above your eyelid, just off to the right side of it, so that it's perfectly just right off to the side of your eye and flick straight and never flare your elbow out. Now take a side step and try to shoot while you're leaning. You throw the ball 15 feet off to the right of the basket. It's the same thing here. You get yourself in a scenario where you're hunting and you got to shoot out of a tree stand, all of a sudden doing this perfectly comes out. It's out of the window. You can't do that in a tree stand. Shooting straight out of a tree stand, you can't do it. And then you start to miss. And that was the same thing I had a problem with whenever I shot that 8-pointer a couple years ago with the longbow. And I kept missing shooting out of a tree because I couldn't hold the same form. Everything was different. And I couldn't adapt to what I was doing until I learned to shoot the way that I'm kind of shooting now and I'm experimenting with now. And it's just simple. I don't follow through. I don't hold back tension. I pull back anchor, everything's right, and I let go. I don't try to get every inch out of it and expand through it. I just, what feels natural. What feels natural is not a straight arm, but just kind of a bent one, and just letting go of my fingers rather than going like that and trying to come back and touch my shoulder, because it makes a really wonky movement. Don't explode on your movement, stay static. That little static is a lot better than going, because you're gonna start missing. You're gonna start throwing your bow arm, and it's even harder to shoot that way. I can shoot 1,000 shots like this, and my muscles don't get tired. I shoot 10 times like I used to, which was like this, and my muscles start to get tired because I'm overdrawing. And even though it aligns my back tension perfectly, I'm overdrawing, and I still pluck almost every single release. So, with all that being said, develop a form that's natural to you. If you want to hunt, I truly try split vision or instinctive. I shoot a lot better instinctive. Let me show you what my shot process looks like in the very simplified version rather than the overreacting version. Because then you don't even have to think about your form. You just gotta think about hitting what you want to shoot at. So all I do is I hold the bow up like this. I have my hand right here. Everything's in line. I like to stand a little bit open and kind of not push my arm out, but just have it set like that. I'll hold the bow up, stare at what I want to hit at. You see that? My hand's still right here. My arm's still like this. No, it's not like this, and I'm not getting the extra 10 feet per second. I'm just worried about being more accurate. And you can expand through and put the clicker on and all that, but you start to lose accuracy the more stuff you add into your head to think about. Your conscious brain is not a supercomputer like your subconscious is. Your subconscious is the supercomputer. I can shoot gap all day. It's genuinely really easy. So I'll demonstrate right here that I can shoot gap too. I haven't shot like that. That's not even the anchor point back here, that's just an anchor point right here. I haven't shot like that since I shot that 8-pointer 2 years ago. Over 2 years ago, well, 2.5 years. And I just hit, yeah, granted I'm only about 13 yards, but most of the time, that's as far as you're gonna shoot at with one of these. I'll shoot 30 yards, but I practiced I shoot at 50, just so that 30 doesn't seem that far. But yeah, it's only about 13 yards, but I'm almost touching the other arrow. I haven't shot this bow in I don't know how long. I've never even shot an aluminum arrow out of a bow before, out of a longbow or a recurve before. I just wanted to start shooting this ostensible. Found these Easton Axis 2016s in the, not 2016 year, but the spine. Just threw some 125 grain tips and come out here and start shooting them, and it's been perfect. And because I'm not overcomplicating everything and trying to find my gap again and all that, all I gotta do is shoot the daggone target. And all it comes down to is everybody wanting to get to be the best, the fastest. And it's not about that. It's about being good by being good. And the best shooters you'll see are the people who most of the time shoot instinctively, have done it for 20 years, 30 years, and just kept practicing and practicing and practicing. I probably shot 400 arrows average every day for the last week. And again, I'm experimenting, so I'm not perfect yet, but over time that will start to come. But I can take it, shoot 3 under, shoot split finger, shoot snapshot, shoot hold for 20 seconds. I can do all this stuff now because I've shot for that long and I've just practiced over and over and over again. And through that, I'm so much more accurate than if I even did string walk, fixed crawl, gap shooting. And now gap shooting is decently. Now, one thing I will say about gap shooting is learning gap shooting and then transitioning into split vision is an amazing tool for a bow hunter. If you can't really shoot instinctive all that great, try to learn your gap. Don't overcomplicate it again, because a lot of the people you watch online will try to overcomplicate it, and you'll start to suck. But what you need to do for this is learn your gap. So come out here, shoot the target, learn your gap, and then eventually keep shooting that way to the point to where you don't have to look at the arrow tip anymore. You just look at where you want to hit, and your mind automatically knows the gap, because that's basically instinctive to an extent, except you're still kind of consciously picking up your peripheral of the arrowhead, not the burn a hole, not even worried about anything else, and letting your subconscious do all the work. You are still consciously making a little bit of effort to think about where you're hitting and where your arrow tip's at. Pure instinctive is the difference of only focusing on where you want to hit. Your form is completely controlled by your subconscious, and you're only consciously thinking about the deer or the whatever and where you want to hit. And again, I think instinctive for a bow hunter is the most superior, but that's my opinion. You have your right to your own opinion, but I can shoot a deer at 30 yards under my leg like this if I wanted to whereas if I aimed and I didn't have perfect form, or I gap shot and couldn't hit perfect form, I would miss. That's all it comes down to. If you are an aimer, you're gonna have it's gonna be extremely hard for you to shoot off the ground, especially from like your knees or something, or out of a tree straight down. That's what I found trouble with last year, or not just last year, but shooting even instinctive 3 under and shooting split vision. I was having trouble shooting down and shooting at a weird angle, having to cant the bow more. But with instinctive, you don't have to worry about any of that anymore. So I'm gonna shoot a couple shots here and show you my shot process and my form, and then yeah, I'll let you go until next video. So let's do some shots. I'll show you the simplicated and the overcomplicated versions of my shot. I'm gonna show my simplistic form that I'm trying to simplify my whole shot process. So all I do, I like to be a static hold. I don't like the swing draw. I've tried it. If I got used to it, I could probably get better at it. But what I like to do is kind of be lined up, because in a hunt scenario, I'm going to want to be holding where I kind of want to be and then let go. And what makes or breaks my shot is how much do I move my bow arm when I draw. And one thing I had to get out of was overdrawing. And what I would do is I'd hold the bow like this, but when I would come back, I'd expand out and back my head up and pull out like that. But I like to cave my chest in a little bit and not overdraw. But anyway, I'll just hold the bow out where I want to hit, pick my spot, stare it down, pull back, not much movement, and then let go. And you see that? My bow arm is almost in the same spot and my hand is still right here. I'm just opening my fingers. I'm not pulling through it. I'm just opening my fingers. And what I learned is pulling through the shot was incredibly inconsistent for me. And caused me to pluck the string and pluck the release. But just opening my fingers made it so much easier to have a consistent, clean release. So I'm gonna do that one more time, and then I'll do my old form that was overcomplicated. So what I do, stand here, aim, draw back, let go, and that's it. I can hold for a little bit. I do like to hold for longer. It's something I've got to teach myself, because I used to snap shoot, so I'm used to letting go. Really, not snap shoot, but I used to like pull back and then let go, and I've got to learn to hold for just a second, because I have more time to focus and execute the shot. So I'll try to hold a little bit longer on this one. I don't think I held a little bit longer, but I hit the arrow that I was shooting at, and I'll zoom in on that for you. As you can see, I'm not really picking, I'm just kind of shooting at the target, but then that last shot I did aim at that extra arrow to see where I would hit. But now I'm going to show you the overcomplicated release. So now I'll do the overcomplicated release, which was 3 under. I would hold the bow up, touch my hand right here to my nose as I was lining it up, and then let's start to draw, hook, and let go. And even in that, I still only let my hand go like this, but I used to really follow through on it, and that was a horrible shot, by the way. I hit it, well, not horrible, but low and left. So let's try that again. That was a little bit better shot, but I can't even get myself to pull through the shot anymore. That's a really janky, just, but anyway, that was me trying to get the full back tension and the follow through on the release and stuff. But I've kind of conditioned my mind to just instinctively just kind of, but anyway, that group is horrible. I'm gonna shoot one more at a different angle, and then I'm gonna call it a day. Just to the left, but I'm not really aiming or trying to hit a certain spot. I was just trying to show you the shot process. But anyway, I guess I'm gonna go work and hopefully get this video out this evening. I hope you guys like this. It's not gonna be highly edited. I'm not gonna throw a bunch of music in the background or anything like that. It's just gonna be strictly educational and trying to help you with your form out and with your journey in traditional archery, because it's a journey. If you do it the right way, it should be a hard journey, but very rewarding one. It's the only thing I think about. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed watching, and try to make another one hopefully this weekend about split fingering 3 under. Hopefully I can make a decision on what I want to shoot for the rest of the year by then. So anyway, y'all stay tuned and keep feeling the spirit.